Hello, Assalamu alaikum everybody, and welcome to another session of Coffee with CEO. And as you all know, Coffee with CEO is a session by Management House and CEO Club Pakistan, by which we do invite a CEO, a leader, a chairman, or anybody from the top C management of the company to come over and talk to us about their road of success. We want them to tell us their story so that we can share it with the public, with the youth, so that they can take the inspiration.
Absolutely.
And today I'm really very glad to have a very young entrepreneur who joined the family business a while back. And सबसे अच्छी जो इनके बारे में बात ये है that he have followed a proper career path to come to his own family business. जबकि ऐसा के पाकिस्तान में नहीं होता. Usually people just come जब उनका दिल चाहता है वो आ जाते हैं और अपना फैमिली बिजनेस ज्वाइन कर लेते हैं. तो प्लीज वेलकम मिस्टर शहजाद फिरास्ता.
Thank you so much.
Is the director in Rupali Group of Companies.
Thank you
How
so
are
much.
you, Shehzad?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be here. And before we start off this session, I must comment on how amazing this management house is.
Oh, I'm so
because
thankful to you.
I think it's one of those things where you see pictures, you hear about it, but definitely it's worth a visit. And they have great facilities, great opportunities to do things and partner with other institutions. And I think the environment that you've created here is something that Pakistan is lacking, in today's day and age. So it's good to have that safe space for entrepreneurs and for businessmen to come in, collaborate, talk, whatever it requires to do. And it fosters growth, I believe, and development. So you've done a good job with that. Hats off to you guys. And of course, I want to mention Ijaz Saab, unfortunately, is not here right now, but good job on that and managing that. Overall, it's good. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everyone. I hope the day is going well. Weekend has started. I know a lot of people are off on Saturdays. Unfortunately, we are not. So we're one of those companies that is working 6 days a week.
No, 7 days because your machineries are running
well,
all the time.
Yes, of course, the plant is something that is running 24/7. But
24/7.
Sunday,
And then after how long you do take the shutdown? After every?
Well, I mean, the plant takes an annual shutdown after every 2 years. And I was just telling earlier, Miss Nazeya here, that for this kind of when you're in manufacturing, when you're in chemical plant, it's running 24/7, and any second of downtime or any second of outage, because we're running our own power as well, creates so much issues and creates so much havoc that, at 4 a.m. in the morning, if I get a call that this has happened, you have to immediately take action to get your plant up and running again, because, production loss, wastage, all that goes a long way and creates a lot of mess. So to start with,
I would like you to tell us about Rupali Group of Companies.
Of course. So I think it'd be better if I talk a little about myself before we get into Rupali Group.
Okay.
Should we? So
you tell us about how you started,
absolutely.
your upbringing, your school.
What has brought me to where I am today? I have been not born, but I've been raised in Lahore, Pakistan. And
which school?
I went to Lahore American School for most of my career till high school. Great school, by the way. Very proud.
Got lots of CEOs.
Very proud of my alma mater, and I'm an involved alumni as well since the institution. So we're doing some good things there. Then I went abroad to California, to UCLA, to do electrical engineering. So it was really interesting.
Why electrical engineering?
Good question. Because everyone in any family business, is like easiest path is you do business. But when I was growing up, technology really, fascinated me. Physics, chemistry, all the basic subjects that you take.
You was a real science guy.
Calculus and whatnot. And then at the same time, I was very inquisitive about machinery and about how things work and whatnot. So I ended up choosing electrical engineering because, I knew that when you combine any kind of engineering with any kind of business background, it gives you the best of both worlds. Today, whether you're in medicine, whether you're in arts, we are living in the 21st or maybe 22nd century. Technology is key, Without technology, all the other basic practices, they cannot be upgraded, they cannot be caught up in today's day and age. So when I did engineering, it allowed me to build a mindset of how to problem solve, how to look at things in a different perspective. And just a very small joke, I remember when I used to come back on my holidays to Pakistan, my Nana once asked me, he's like, what is the purpose of being an electrical engineer? Are you going to fix a TV for me? I said, no, that is not what engineers do. Yes, we know the basics of how TVs work, but that's the job of an electrician or a technician. You're an engineer. The purpose is to build a mindset to see how in-depth level of how things are working, So mashallah, I had a great opportunity in California to do this degree. And
how long you
it was a 4-year program. It was a 4-year program.
Right.
When I finished that program, I did a few internships in the US. But what was my most memorable experience was that when I did get a chance to come back to Pakistan, and before I could join the family business as a director, as a sort of higher rank, I was actually working in my own company in an internship sort of format. And I used to be sitting at the factory with the other engineers in the electrical workshop, and I was soldering circuits. So I felt like this is a very unique experience, and I'd like to comment on this and tell people that, it's a great learning experience, that when you are trying to achieve something and you're trying to understand something, you have to do it from the grassroots level. You have to do it from the ground up. You have to understand how your people, how they are managing their jobs, how are they operating, what's their mindset, what actions they take, what their concerns are. You have to live their life to understand when you get into your business and you manage from the top, from your office, what the real issues are and how to go about your day managing those issues.
Was it your idea so that you'll be mingling up with the staff members and sitting down, or was it your dad's or someone else's idea?
I think it was my dad's idea, because in our family business, in the culture that we have, it is always important to start at a very humble and a phase where you can understand on the bottom level. I would also say to many people out there that apart from me working in my own company at that stage, I was fortunate enough to also work in other companies around the world where, it did not matter who I am and what I'm doing, So, it's a great feeling to understand how teams work and whatnot. I was, let me continue talking about my career path. So I did a little bit of work here in the family business, but not really as a director. I just worked sort of on the bottom level, understood how the factory worked, understood how my product was made. Then I wanted to get an MBA because, having a engineering background, I lacked some of the very important business and marketing skills, management skills that I needed to, in the end, go into the family business. And when I decided to go to Canada to do my MBA, I did it at McMaster. One of the reasons I chose this university is because it allowed me to also work simultaneously with the program that I was doing. And it allowed me to work in different capacities.
Means you was on practice as well?
No, so I don't know, many people here who have educational experience in Canada know that there are co-op programs. These co-op programs make you do one semester, then you work one semester, and then it repeats like that. So it's kind of like an internship, but not really, because it's a fully paid job and and you work as a proper employee. And I think the government of Canada benefits in this respect that they have. It's very good. I mean, America doesn't have this co-op system. But one of the things that I did that I was really happy is that I worked for a entrepreneurial incubator in Canada as a business analyst.
And whose idea was that?
No, it was my idea. I got that job. Yeah. But the reason I did this is because I got to work with over 50 different entrepreneurs in Canada to help them with their business plan or what they were doing. Now, they were doing some really interesting things, in the educational space, in the biotechnology space, something very different from what my family business was.
The idea of so many industries,
yes,
so many businesses.
To understand how, in the end of the day, if you want to start a business, the business plan is your Bible. It is your starting point, Understand how to get to market, understand how to establish a strategic... Yes, absolutely. You have your SWOT analysis, your 4 Ps. So, we were doing that for different businesses in Canada. And that gave me perspective on what I could do on my business when I were to get into it, or what if I were to start my own business, what I could do to enhance that experience. And it was a great opportunity, working with so many different entrepreneurs in Canada, doing so many different things that even today, when I see the news, there's some people that I worked with that have become, proper $1 million businesses. And these are people that were starting off maybe just 10 years ago when I worked with them in 2010 or 2011. After completing my master's in business and working in different organizations, I also worked for a manufacturing facility in Canada. Yes, as a production analyst. So I was able to sort of manage their production as well on a grassroots level. Then I decided to sort of join the family business because I realized that my skills. So I moved back in 2014. So it's exactly about 6 years. And I decided to do this because the skills that I had gained in my engineering field, in my business field, and in all the work experiences I had done, they allowed me to open that pathway to now sort of engage in a very fruitful business management position. And I think I want to tell the youth as well out there that before you decide to step into your family business, before you make any kind of commitment, make sure that you have a path chalked out for you with the help of your family, with the help of your elders, of course, with their support, where you have personal grooming and experience that will allow you to bring value to your existing business. Pakistan, and I'll give you an example. Pakistan is we're in such an environment where if a company, mashallah, my company, my family business has been around for over 30, 35 years now, everyone is resistant to change. Everyone is a force of habit. What happens is we come in from abroad, from a different perspective, we try to add new things, but then people try to resist that. So my purpose was to try to make sure that I can implement as much change, as many differences, bring a new perspective to the way business was being managed, to the way the plant was being run, so we could make a new approach, a new, more efficient and effective way out, because in the end of the day, people then get stuck and then things start to, crumble if you're not progressively growing and keeping with the day and age, whether it's IT, whether it's product, whether it's variation, or even the approach, For example, there are a lot of manufacturers out there that are following the Lean Six Sigma methodology, and some people are not, and to implement that just creates a lot of time and efficiency and savings for that.
So
mashallah, I believe that all of these experiences have brought me a very good platform to allow me to sort of take the next step with my family, move on in the business.
So now tell us about the Rupali group of companies.
Great. So basically, I have been a director in the business for the past couple of years, and I am currently managing the plant and operations of all of the Rupali group of industries, which include Rupali Polyester Plant and Sheikhupura, Rupali Limited on Sharakpur Road, which is approximately 10 kilometers away. Two plants. We have associated businesses in Karachi as well and in Lahore. Sunai Bank is also part of the big group if you look at it from that perspective, but I'm not managing that on a day-to-day basis. So we have multiple aspects of the business, but I'm personally looking into the two plants that I've talked about, in which we are manufacturing two items. We are manufacturing polyester yarn, which is known as in the market PFY, and polyester staple fiber, which in the market is known as PSF. And this is very early on in the supply chain to make that final kapra that essentially is being sold in the local market. Polyester, kapra can be 100% polyester, can be a blend, but we are making that yarn, we are making that fiber that gets blended with viscose, with cotton, with rayon, all these things, and then it goes on, weavers and knitters and different kind of machinery to create that eventual cloth, which then gets embroidered and cut. So as you know, textiles is a huge part of the business. Everyone is in different supply chain. We are one of the players that have started very, very long ago. We're competing with big giants like Ibrahim and Getron and ICI. But essentially, these are the four big players that are in the market right now manufacturing this product. And, we've been in this business for so long that we are in Punjab, we are one of the sort of monopoly players, dominant players.
But isn't it that your monopoly is now being affected by the imports from China?
Absolutely. It's a very tough business to be in right now, because back then, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was the time where, it was flying off the shelf. Product was, there was so much demand. Then as imports became more and more common, China with the CPAC and everything became more and more viable for people. Plus, the government made it easier for many people to import this yarn.
Why not to support the local business? No?
Well, actually, I think it's a double-edged sword. So here's the thing: when it comes to the imports from a user perspective, they are trying to tell us that the capacities that we have in Pakistan, with all the players right now in the market, there's still a shortage. Okay. With that shortage, the only way they can meet it is by importing from there. But what we're trying to say is that we want to expand. We want to increase our
and
capacity.
I remember that
we want
had
to
this
invest
conversation
money. Yes.
that you want to expand your product
Exactly.
line and all.
I mean, a business cannot grow if it doesn't expand, right?
So is it easier to
But,
import? That's what you are
let
saying?
me get to that. But the reason why we can't expand is that if our sales are not to the point where we are generating enough revenue to be able to put money in expansion, then we cannot expand. So that's why it's a chicken and egg problem, because the government wants us to expand, but we are not able to expand because the imports are too high. If they limit the imports, then we can expand. But then the other side of the equation is that they want the demand, So it's a constant battle between two sides of the coin. And the government is trying its best to accommodate both the parties, which is why in the past couple years, there have been a couple tariffs, duties, whatever you want to call it, that have been implemented on our product coming in from China, coming in from Malaysia, Thailand, to give us a break, to make us competitive in the local market. Because the thing is that it's easier for something to be bought local. We like everything to be local,
And we should be
exactly.
to the local
Versus, because all our money, then all our dollars are going abroad. However, unfortunately, since this new business regime has started with the new Prime Minister, these duties, these taxes, they have been levied and they have been taken away from us, putting us at a disadvantage. And now, due to the further financial and taxes the crunches that have been put on different companies, whether it is, the zero rating that was happening, that now has been removed. So sales tax is applicable on all textile chain, whether it is the gas prices that have consistently increased because we are running on 100% own generated power, which mostly is coming from gas. We do not rely on VABDA. We are relying
on your own side.
It's all captive power.
And how long you are doing your own?
From the start.
Achha.
Because we are generating, 7 to 8 megawatts of electricity. Exactly. And also the power consumption that we need is so high for our machinery that you have to invest in your own generator. So power generation is a business of its own that we're managing, but we're feeding it to our own company. Now, the thing is, we've also invested in other sources of power generation. But again, because the prices of raw materials keep changing, whether it's coal, gas, it's very difficult to see, what is viable, what is not viable. And that is why with power going up, with the interest rates going up, as you know, when you want to do expansion, with the utilities going up, and that's the only thing you have for your conversion cost, because everything else comes down to your product, comes down to your raw materials. That's almost 70% of your cost. Everything else that you can manipulate, which is what the local industry is doing, that puts us at a disadvantage and gives us a difficult time in the market to compete with, And I think that overall, since these new regimes have been put into play, the production has gone down in this industry and has gone down in general. People are not buying, the rupee, the devaluation has created an issue. Shukr, we're at a stable dollar right now. But back in the day,
you look at the
absolutely the inflation and all that's happened. It's scary.
By the way, it's the testing time which the whole nation is going through.
Right.
So, what's your stance on? Do you see any opportunity that you think that you are you are managing 2 plants? So, how many people are with you?
So we have approximately 2,700 to 3,000 employees total.
3,000 employees. Yes. They are your employees.
Of course.
3,000 families are related to
Absolutely.
you. So where do you see the growth in these testing times? With the imports being facilitated and all, utilities going up and up. Down to the sales side.
Right.
So where do you see the opportunity?
That's a great question, and I think that, maybe a year ago, we were doing a lot of work to plan for the expansion so we could meet the demand of the country, of the customers. However, it's been a little bit tough with, what I mentioned, the dollar and whatnot, for us to go ahead with that expansion. Because when you have lots at stake here. You have, diminishing sales, and you have a lot of investment, and you need to loan from the bank, and the interest rates are going up. All your feasibilities just go out of whack, I remember last year in April, we signed a deal with the company. It was about, $500 million deal that we did. And, so it was $5 million. It was about $5 million deal that we did. And unfortunately, we were not able to execute on that deal because once in July 1st, the new budget came out, it put our feasibility out of whack. Where you were looking at returns, where you were looking at returns in 2 years, we're now looking at returns in 13 years. So how can a company bleed for 13 years and then say that there's a light at the end of the tunnel? You have to think of alternate ways to then grow. And that's where we got very much involved with lobbying to the FBR, the NTC, the Prime Minister's office, and making trips to Islamabad to ensure that all these manufacturers in the textile industry, not just us, were working together to grow and sustain ourselves for the long term. Now, if I would like to say, to answer that question, Mr. Nazeya, that if the right policies are in place, if the right supply chain is in place, and when I'm talking about policies, I'm talking about gas, I'm talking about power, I'm talking about the dollar, the stability of it, I'm talking about the interest rate, all of that, if everything is stable and there to sort of give us the hope that we need, then definitely we would like to implement these expansion plans and go into our future perspective and grow like we've planned, because most of our machinery is from Japan, from Germany. Nowadays we're looking into China, which is more of a feasible solution. I always tell people with Chinese, you can't live with them, but you can't live without them as well, because they are somehow integrated into our daily life. I feel like you're gonna have some Chinese people being interviewed here in the near future as well. They're very much.
It's good to be inspired by the
Absolutely.
good people who make the good moves.
I have both my factories. We have a guest house that we've made just for the Chinese engineers, and every time we do a project, they're always there. I've even a lot of Chinese people are learning Chinese for good business, as an translator, because they make a lot of good money.
As well, no?
Yeah, they make a lot of money, and we also hired 2 to 3 Chinese translators in the past.
You are a young CEO, mean the third generation of your family who's into the family business now. So different people, the old people have their own mindset, then this, and then you, who have been educated in US and Canada.
Different kind of grooming, yes.
And then the exposure you got by working with
I'm very grateful to that.
Program. So what do I want to ask is, what do you think are the 3 core competencies a CEO must have? For example, the way you are dealing with the stress level of the machine is working 24/7 and a shutdown or means a huge loss. So what do you think that the 3 main competencies a CEO must have? Or especially for those who are joining the business now.
Right. I think that's a great question, and I think there's definitely always going to be more than 3. But if I were to highlight the top 3 core competencies or skills that I have learned that are important to survive in this kind of business, I think the number 1 is open communication and transparency, which I want to label as overall a management skill. Because here's the thing, if I look at my hierarchy as a pyramid, and if I see myself sitting on the top, I'm not going to achieve anything. If I look at my hierarchy as an inverted pyramid, and if I see myself sitting here, or if I see myself sitting here looking at this level, then perspective changes. And that's where communication, transparency, everything matters. So I was taught by a wise gentleman that I worked with in Canada. Just look at your hierarchy, that you're sitting on a inverted angle, and that is why what I do is mostly I go to the factory, I go to the factories, the machinery, I go to the operators, I talk to them, I see what's happening, what are the issues they're facing. Because here's what happens in today's day and age, all the information gets filtered when it comes up to top management. And when you have such a huge hierarchy, so many departments, so many heads, assistant managers, deputy managers, GMs, directors, when information comes to you, it comes sort of a bit filtered. It comes in a little bit to look in a more perspective way. So I think communication and transparency throughout all levels is very important. You'd be surprised to see what people have to say about what's going on in your own background, your backyard, when you actually make an effort to go there. And a lot of people forget to do that because they believe that time is so valuable to them that why bother going when they have people they're paying to do that job, It is better to sort of sit on the top and just make sure that everything is looking good.
With a tie
so that's number 1. Number 2, I would say what's really important is you have to stick to the times. You have to grow with the times.
I would like to tell, I was so inspired by Shehzad that whenever we go to him, he always note down everything.
Yeah, so that's one of the passions
I will. The same in my computer as well. I'm taking the notes, digital notes all the time.
Of course. So I think
yes, he's very concerned.
When I say keeping with the times, I mean that this business has been around, and many businesses have been around for a very long time. But there are a lot of aspects that require to be integrated to be able to keep up with today's time. I talk about IT. I talk about, how to enable transparency through IT or communications or emails. I'm talking about a different approach. You have a different, the purpose that, even CEO Club is doing right now, Management House is doing motivational speaking, how to manage stress, how to manage a good workplace. That all can only happen if you are keeping up with today's practices and today's day and age. So it's very important to see what people are doing and take those best practices and bring them to your house. So I think keeping up with the times through technology, we are currently doing a lot of work in our in-house to sort of be up to date with where we are right now. We are replacing machinery, we are replacing different IT systems because we want to be able to compete in today's day and age.
So one is transparency, number two is time,
and the third one I think is the most importantly is a good leadership. Okay, leadership is important because most people look to you to see how you want to see their businesses, how you want to see the message being across, And I feel like when I was very fortunate enough to learn through different motivational speaking, through different, grooming sessions.
You do.
Yes, I actually, I went abroad to different sessions and not that I gave a session, I was part of different sessions where I was learning about these things, and leadership is key. That, if you just start giving commands, that's not what a good leader does. And today's day and age or previous generations, that's what leaders are doing. It's all about get this done. That is wrong approach. You have to inspire your top level management to come up with the solution themselves and empower them to make sure that they're the ones who are doing what you are getting them to do. And your job should be as a leader is to guide them through that process, And again, mashallah, I have so many great employees working for me. I have people who've been with me since the inception.
I know.
And they're sitting with me, and they're like my mentor. Even though yes, I'm sitting on the decision making, but I believe that these are the people through which my current factories and manufacturing is running smoothly.
So how you want to improve as a leader? There are two to three things where you want to improve.
I think you're continuously improving, you're continuously growing.
But any areas which you specifically think that you need it?
So I think generally patience is key because that's something that we all we all are very curious. We all have different ideas, and sometimes we think our ideas might be better than other people's. But we have to take a step back and see, there are people who've been in this business, who've been in this operations for a very long time.
Thank you for being so transparent.
Of course, we have to see that, they may make a better choice than you. And patience also not just with your employees, but also with our own, when it comes to family decisions, when it comes to business decisions, with the directors, patience is key because everyone thinks that their perspective might be the right answer. But you, of course, have to give an opportunity and a chance to see how things will play out.
So one is patience, two is...
And sometimes you have to take the back seat. You cannot always be driving the car. You have to take the back seat and you have to let someone else take the lead, It's a good leader usually does.
Yeah. Our Pakistani entrepreneurs, they don't have this courage to go back and take someone else take the lead.
A lot of people think the ego and everything comes in. Yeah. So I think patience is important. Listening is important. That comes with part of the patience. The more that you will talk, the more that you will command, the more that you will give instructions, the less you can understand what's actually happening. So
you gave us the transparent answers.
Right. Once in a while, it's important to sit in a meeting and just listen, and see what the situation is, because you may not even know what the right situation is till you don't hear from, like I said, the ground level reality, and you don't want fudged numbers or fudged information to come to you, and you think that everything is happening and all your managers are doing the right thing.
So Shehzad, you are into polyester business or plastic business, and plastic is the devil of the world right now, na?
Right.
The talk of the town.
Everyone's removing from plastic bags.
And to be very honest, it's very real as well.
Right.
I remember the whale dead and the turtle dead and so many, and the sea for pollution. So how come? What is your stance?
This is a great perspective that is being looked into right now by all polyester and plastic manufacturers.
Is this what you are saying? Who is managing two plants of
right?
plastic?
No, I'm saying that there are suppliers and customers because we are eventually customers of suppliers who are building these machinery to manufacture the polyester, right?
Done.
And then we are further supplying it, who are making further the cloth. Now, everyone is in this debate that, in today's day and age, yes, polyester is a great, great product. It's cheap, it's readily available, but of course it has its harmful effects, and so does plastic. So I've attended seminars in Japan and China where we're working with big companies and big suppliers to try to find renewable and recyclable sources and ways to produce polyester that might be renewable, However, I feel the impact may not show up anytime soon because in a country like Pakistan, it is a little bit difficult to implement, to get everyone on board. However, I must say that there are people who are making recyclable fiber right now, who are making recyclable polyester yarn as well. They're not the same commodity yarn and fiber that we are making that's sort of selling in the market for the main products that are being sold in the market. But it is a niche market that is developing, and I hope to be investing in this in the near future as well ourselves, because we see the growth, we see the potential, and we need to all play a part to try to protect Mother Nature, because it has a global impact. And we want to make sure that, there are ways that in the end of the day, we are not harming the environment, we are not harming the world, and we're coming out with this biodegradable and all these renewable, options. So I think that because there's a lot of science that needs to go into this, the chemistry, the breakup and all that. So I think there's a lot of money being invested to come up with those kind of solutions. And in the end, once they're rolled out, they will trickle down to our industry, and we will learn sort of the ways and best practices on how to implement them. But I think it's good to know what's going on. And then when that time comes, you should be ready to implement. So we're always researching and talking to suppliers, going to China often to see what's going on.
At least you're thinking about it.
Of course, you have to. You have to. It's sustainable. It's the new sustainability that you need to talk about. Yeah.
So let's come to the lighter note side.
Sure,
I know lots of younger CEOs, CEOs who are under 35, and they say that the first challenge which they have is when they come to the businesses, हर कोई उनको बहुत छोटा सा समझता है. So can you relate to any incident where वो कहेंगे ये तुमने क्या करना है यार, तुम तो छोटे से खुद से हो.
I think that what I talked about earlier in my experiences in my grooming is that if you're coming from a very humble, a very down to earth perspective and environment, then these kind of problems will not come. So if you come in sort of with your high horse, arrogant perspective, these problems will come. Because I was able to work with the sort of low-level staff in my company, and I'm able to have a very good rapport with them right now, these issues did not come. However, my friends have talked about it. I've experienced it, or my siblings may have experienced it, that, you always feel like sometimes what you're saying, other people might be wondering that, what is this guy talking about? Who does he think he is? Especially coming from abroad, because people think that, everyone who has come from abroad, they think that they have to be right. They know the right procedure. And, Pakistan mein sab kuch backward chal raha hai, to isko to bilkul change hi karna hai. But that's absolutely incorrect. You need to work according to the way and the country that you're living in. So if a system is working here in Pakistan that works, that's not, like, for example, when I worked in Canada, there were systems that are working there that I know cannot work in Pakistan. Just because of the mental, the ability to process information and how to implement it is different here. People are groomed a bit differently here. That's okay. It's not wrong. But every country has its own methodology that you have to follow. So I think that us youngsters that try to come in, we have to be mindful of that and then try to implement the change. I've tried, very hard to bring in practices that other companies were following that did not work successfully in my own. But that's okay. You learn from your mistakes, and then you can understand how to implement them better. So making mistakes is also very important. You should never hesitate to make a mistake or to try something that will fail. Because I believe failures are what lead to future success. Yeah. And that's one of the very common misconceptions that people have, that people are afraid to fail, considering they try to come up in this family business and a lot of expectations ride on them, that you need to succeed and you need to bring in something that
sometimes you're not supposed to succeed for some very
of course
successful ventures,
so I think
there is a down and then there is a big
so
up.
I think a lot of my colleagues and my friends that I've talked to, everyone who comes in, everyone tries to start new businesses, they fail.
Shehzad, why there is love for Pakistan in you, even when you are brought up there in Canada, you got your degree from Canada, London, and America. So, how come this belief in Pakistan and positivity about Pakistan or love for Pakistan Is this done by the family or is it you, or how?
I think no.
Why you was not attracted to stay there
or an
Why you
opportunity
came
there? You know, that's a great question because
that, I know lots of
that
CEOs
goes
who
on in
kids
everyone's mind. You know, that's
and everybody is more like the
course.
CEO telling me mera beta is earning $7,000 per month, and there are lots of people who tell
I think in the end of the day, it's about the upbringing in the family, and I think when I used to look as a kid and saw my father and my grandfather work so hard for this business, I felt like it was a responsibility that inadvertently came to me that, if there's a legacy that has been built, it is my responsibility to continue the legacy, because if I don't, then who will, and the thing is that it's not about the money or the opportunity. It's about the sustainability of something that people are relying on. I continuously look at my employees and I feel like I am working hard for them, because if I have options otherwise as well, but they don't. Today, if something, God forbid, happens to this business, then they're all going to be out on the street as well. So we need to run the business. We need to continue. We need to grow for the people of the country, And I'm mashallah so blessed to have such hardworking employees, like I mentioned earlier, who've been with us since the start, that they are dedicated. These people, yes, a lot of people have HR issues right now. We have a lot of turn rate on low level. But when you have good managers and good general managers and good directors, these are people you want to retain. These are people you want to sustain. These are people who you want, your company grows because of their work and their knowledge that they brought to the business.
It's good that you are mentioning them.
Absolutely. So I think it's because of them, and it's because of the legacy, it's because of the family. My mom always says, it's our bread and butter. Pakistan is our bread and butter. And I think it's because there is a lot of potential here that you don't have anywhere else. I think that, anyone who wants to start a business, considering in America and Canada, because I've lived there, there's a lot of loopholes that you have to follow and jump through to get anything to be done. Here, when you have an idea, if you have the right support, you can easily get things done. So I think that coming to Pakistan and having that ability to do what you want to do easily, because there was a pathway already chalked out and there was a road already in motion where the car was running. I said, let's jump on board and get this to a better
Although
height.
you had the option there. Anyways, short question. What is your idea of happiness? कोई खुशी kaise aati hai bhai?
I think these days people like me, you just want to, the generation like me, just want to, chill in front of Netflix or something. No, I think I was saying that, people nowadays to take a break. It's all about, socializing with friends, watching Netflix, taking a break, traveling. I think traveling is very important because we live in Pakistan, the kind of businesses we are operating. It's a very stressful environment. It is. And I think it's important and valuable that you get a chance to take a break and disconnect from your phone, from your laptop, because if I'm getting 200 emails a day, and that's true, I'm getting 20 phone calls, every hour, I need one day, I need one, break every month or every 2 months to disconnect. So I think it's important to take a break. It's important to spend time with your family. It's important to, read some phone books.
How do you relieve your stress?
I think for me,
and it's so much frequent, na?
Right.
How do you take off your stress?
I think for me, my channel I spend a lot of time with and around technology, and I'm very active sort of online to sort of communicate with people and keep up to date what's going on. So it gives you an avenue away from sort of the real world and the real world problems to sort of, enjoy. And then I think that there's so much going on around the world that it keeps your mind off the stresses here. So you have your family, you have all your happiness in your house. That's one that will always be there. Then you have your life that you're trying to build in your communications, keeping in touch with my friends in Canada, keeping in touch with my friends in America,
So how do you maintain a life balance, the work-life balance?
I think
Does this mean a complaining wife all the time?
No, not at all. I think I think there's, what I like to do is schedule everything. It's important to schedule because when you have a busy schedule, as long as you dedicate the time and plan beforehand, you can make time for anything.
So you're telling your wife, I'll be meeting you from 7 till 9?
Well, what I like to do is, I'll
be playing with the baby for 7
when I get home, I'll make sure that I'll give time just to family, my wife. I have a newborn daughter right now as well, so I spend a lot of time with her, mashallah.
What's her name?
Her name is Sanaya.
Sanaya.
And
What
she's
does it
just
mean?
so Sanaya means noble and admirable, and she's just approximately 8 weeks right now. So it's a great phase to be in, and of course it distracts you when you're at
Very
work
hard,
as well.
very
Yeah, but I think, like I said, you have to learn to disconnect. You have to learn to give space, but also learn to follow your passion. Like, for example, if I'm interested in the technology or in music or in vacations or in traveling and even in movies and whatnot, give some time. One of the things in Pakistan we can do is go out for a movie. We go out for
That's
food.
what
There's not much to,
maximum.
but it's good to get out, to give yourself a break. And I think those things help reset your cycle. So I always used to think that it'd be really nice to have a 2-day holiday in our company, like most companies do in America.
Saturday, Sunday.
But unfortunately, we can't do that. But I think, it's just the more you give, you've done this research and seen that some people are now doing 4-day weeks and having less hours of work, but you get more productivity out of it because it gives that break that people need
Even
to
Honda
disconnect.
is doing so, na? 4
Yeah,
days.
so I think that just giving the ability to disconnect and get away from anything, and even sitting in silence and in complete just mindless thought to understand or appreciating food for that matter, because when I'm enjoying a good meal, I'm not thinking about anything else. That's one that's my guilty pleasure. I enjoy food. I'm going out for a steak, I'm enjoying that. Life, anything around the world can happen. You just need to focus on your meal.
So now we will be doing the rapid fire.
Sure,
you need to answer in 2-3 words only. Okay,
I'll try my best.
Bike or cars?
Cars.
All right. Your last download on Netflix?
No, okay. On Netflix, I think it was a show You.
You, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Your favorite actor?
Bollywood or Hollywood?
Whatever. One Bollywood, one Hollywood.
So my favorite actor in
Name
Hollywood
only.
would be Shah Rukh Khan.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm a big fan of Priyanka Chopra as well. I want to highlight that. And in Hollywood, I would say Steve Carell.
Now, the movie you would recommend others to watch?
I'm a huge fan of Bollywood, but unfortunately you can't watch Bollywood in Pakistan because they've removed all the cinema.
You can download and watch?
Actually, yeah, I recently watched a movie called Bala of Ayushmann Khurrana. That was a great movie. And he's a big, Ayushmann Khurrana is a great actor, and his movies are really good. But in Hollywood as well, I would recommend
Bala.
Joker. Yeah, I mean,
Your favorite actress?
I already mentioned Priyanka Chopra.
Your favorite book?
My favorite book growing up, because I'm not a big reader right now, it was this book by the founder of LinkedIn called The Startup of You. And I don't know if you guys have this in your library, but I would highly recommend it. It is about rebranding yourself on how to, how to survive in the entrepreneurial world and how to market yourself.
You will reply only the answer. Okay, all right? Okay. So again, I'm repeating all this, only the answer.
Sure.
Your last download on Netflix?
You.
Okay. Your favorite movie?
Bala.
Your favorite actor?
Shah Rukh Khan.
Actress?
Priyanka Chopra.
Your favorite food?
Steak. Good
Which steak?
Ooh,
Beef, chicken?
Of course beef.
Oh,
of course beef. And specifically a filet mignon. A filet mignon. Yeah.
Filet mignon.
Yeah, you have to be specific when you're a steak fan.
3 things in a person that turns you off, that you dislike or you
Pet
feel
peeve, basically. Yeah.
1, number 2.
So no. You're asking about my pet peeves, right? With people's. Okay. So first is, let me think about this.
You can tell what you like in someone as well.
Right.
So it's both ways.
So I don't like arrogance.
Okay.
I like someone who's down to earth.
Only the word
Arrogance.
Okay.
Patience. Someone who has I don't like someone who's impatient. And genuine. I like genuine people.
What do you notice in the next person when you meet for the first time?
How they can hold up a conversation with you. Most important.
You have love marriage or arranged marriage?
A little bit of both.
That's a bit beautiful.
Nowadays, you're getting a little bit of combination.
When arrange is always turned up into a love marriage in the end.
Plus the 2 kinds of arranged marriage.
Your best, do you have best friends? Yes or no?
Of course. Best friend or best friends?
Friends.
Yeah, of course. I have a group. I have lots of groups. Yeah.
Your favorite food is okay.
We talked about steak. Yep.
Your favorite, the last track on your phone, which you downloaded.
Probably some Indian song. Don't remember the name. Probably
Okay.
from, I don't even remember the name. Probably some Indian song. I listen to a lot of Bollywood.
So, your message of hope and optimism for the youth.
You know what? I think it's very important that you keep striving for the future and keep doing what you like to do. Passion is very important to follow. However, we need to be that we are making an impact for the world. I think everyone is chasing money and trying to figure out ways to make money. But at the end of the day, do what you want to do is going to make you happy. And right now, there's a lot of problems in the world that you need to also focus on, because we live in a country where there are a lot of issues. And I think that everyone should take some time to spend on focusing on those issues as well, how we can add to that, because I'm personally involved in a lot of community service and a lot of, which I also want to highlight, in a lot of entrepreneurial sort of social ventures to help with education, health, economic development for the poorer communities. And education and health is so important right now. I think if our government focuses more on that, everything can go on its right path. And when it comes to education, I want to highlight education of women is very important. And a lot of people are missing this fact, because I believe that, education for women is utmost important, even more than education for men, because in the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to spread the word, and mashallah, I'm blessed to have a daughter. And she also one day sort of goes even beyond the educational bounds that I had done, and is able to make a big mark in the industry. So yeah, I think just pursue your dreams, but also do not let go of your beginnings, of your initial background, and try to give back. Always find a way to give back. That's very important, and that's what I also see in Pakistan, that the people who are making an impact are the ones who are also giving back to the community, and that's how they're getting the recognition.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Shehzad.
much.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
coming.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.